This is episode 34 of Standing Out. Standing Out is a remarkable interview-style podcast with the intention to highlight women and men making outstanding contributions in their field. This podcast is generously sponsored by Think Global. Think Global is a business advisory firm working with women entrepreneurs around the globe to scale their businesses to the next level. Today, I'd like to welcome Stacia Guzzo. Stacia is a former teacher turned entrepreneur and owner of Handcrafted HoneyBee, a business that creates educational kits for smart girls and quality skincare for smart women. Her STEM kits, which teach girls how to make skincare while incorporating lessons in science and art, have won multiple awards, including the 2016 Kids Product of the Year and 2016 Preferred Choice Awards, and from Creative Child magazine. Along with her husband and small team of 2 part-time employees, she makes all of her products by hand in her home adjacent studio in California. She is a full-time mother raising her 2 sons, ages 3 and 5, while running her business. Stacia, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I think so many women right now, including myself, can totally relate to raising kids and running a business. And how do you manage? It's summer. Are your kids out of school right now?
Well, they're 3 and 5.
Oh, yeah.
But we've
okay.
decided to homeschool the 5-year-old. So
okay.
Just begun.
Holy cow. I was joking the other day. Our kids, they have been on summer break, I think for 3 days now. And yesterday I said to a friend, I'm like, #summer may kill me. Like, it was just a lot more juggling. And then we have like plenty lined up for them. It's just a different schedule than usual.
Yes. It's definitely a lot of juggling, definitely 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah.
In many ways. But I found that the more I incorporate the kids into the business, the more they feel like the business is something that they're a part of rather than something that takes mom away.
Interesting.
As much as possible.
What are some things, because they're pretty young, so what are some things that you found they can be incorporated into?
So labeling boxes when we ship out, and they also help
fun.
us.
Yeah. Okay.
Things like that. When we do like outdoor shows, things like that, they can help to pack the car. Sometimes they come to help set up or clean up. Or when our 5-year-old was little, like 2 or 3, sometimes he would come when we were still doing farmers markets, and he would demonstrate how to put on lip balm to passersby.
Oh, that's awesome.
Put on lip balm, and he felt like he was totally contributing to selling the product, and people thought he was adorable. So
I'm sure he did contribute. That's awesome.
So it's not anything too heavy, but it's always something that makes them feel like they're a part of something. And we give them a quarter, we pay them, just like anybody else. So
we pay in quarters too, quarters and dimes. Well, I love that you're doing that piece. So when you started this company, did you have the vision of making it a STEM sort of company, or was it first a skincare?
That's a great question. So I started out just making skincare and selling the skincare. And then I was teaching local soap making and lip balm making classes. So I would do those in person. And a lot of people would tell me, oh, I wish that I could have had my sister in New York take this class or something like that. And so originally when I made the kits, they were geared toward women, not necessarily toward girls. And last year we went through rebranding. We started the rebrand process. We really began to look at our customers and see who was buying our kits. And we found that most people were not buying them for themselves. They were buying them for their daughters and granddaughters and nieces.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So when we rebranded, I'm a former teacher, and I knew that when we rebranded, I wanted to make it more than just a craft box. And so I decided to infuse lessons that I would have imagined in the classroom with a similar type of project into the kits themselves and the extension activities on the websites.
Oh, that's amazing. So this current state of the union, if you will, that came after or through the rebrand process.
Yes. So
that is so cool.
The refocus really is just a few months old. We
rebranded
in March, and the reception has been incredible. I really feel like we have gotten affirmation that we are on the right path with this.
I think you've nailed it. And as a mom, so we have a boy and a girl, but as a mom, I think helping kids understand like how things are made and where it comes from, like STEM aside, like that is just a great thing, and understanding the process that it takes for something that we kind of take for granted, like a lip balm, you know? So tell me, so I'm just naive in the area. So when you're making a lip balm, like what are some of the scientific principles that kids learn from that? You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. So for something like lip balm, you can learn about phase transition. So the transition from liquid to solid. When it's warmer, it's liquid.
Okay.
Becomes a solid.
Yes.
A little bit, and it's not just about the science behind it too. We try to incorporate different things like, where does beeswax come from? We were hobbyist beekeepers when I first started the business.
Okay.
And so, we have pictures of us actually taking the beeswax off of our hives, and how we melted it down, how we cleaned it. So I talk about where does beeswax come from, and different things like that. We also include different colors and flavors in each of the lip balm kits, and the girls can create their own flavors using different ratios of the flavors included. Figure out, for this particular lip balm, I put in 1 milliliter of the waffle cone flavor and 2 milliliters of the vanilla flavor, and that's how I made my own unique flavor. And we give them a place to document all of that. So we try to incorporate other lessons like that make it
right. Fun. So that's even math and measurement. I'm so fascinated. This is awesome. And so, okay, so as you were transitioning, I think a lot of the listeners would be interested in more about the process of rebranding. So it sounds like it stemmed from who is actually buying. When I look at your site and everything you have, like it is so beautifully packaged together. So share with us some of the behind the scenes that went into making it a cohesive brand beyond, hey, here's our color palette,
Yeah, that's a huge process.
Yeah.
First thing, so one of the reasons we knew we needed to rebrand was because we had some very influential stockists give us some candid advice on that.
Okay.
And we were chosen as one of the brands that was a participant in Etsy Open Call last summer.
Okay. Yeah.
So we were one of 30 that flew to New York, and we pitched to retailers like Nordstrom and Land of Nod and Clementine. Cool. And it was a really amazing experience, and all of the retailers loved what we were doing, but they said, the packaging really doesn't tell your story.
Yeah.
So when we came back, we did a lot of soul searching. We decided before we were going to rebrand at all, look into designers or anything, we needed to get to the core of our brand and what we stood for. Mm-hmm. That's the behind the scenes work that I talked about, looking at who is buying our kits, talking to what customers wanted out of the product. We thought about who would we be selling to? What kinds of things did she like? We would sell to the moms of these girls.
Mm-hmm.
What other products did she like? What was the look of those products? Where could those products be found? Once we did that work, we began to interview different design teams. We looked on their website, we looked at their portfolio, we saw what kind of other websites they had done for kids' products, for women's products, all sorts of things. We eventually decided to go with Aelydia, which is a design studio out of Washington. And I can't sing their praises enough. They were so incredible. Yeah. We worked with them from October, and then finally the rebrand went live in March, and they're still working on the website for us behind the scenes. But it's been an incredible process, really digging into how to speak to our customer. And I think that that's at the core of branding, not colors and, design.
Yeah. And that's true. And I think a lot of times we kind of miss it. We think, oh, we have our colors and fonts, now we're a brand, but it's so much deeper with voice and messaging and cohesion and how it all kind of works together. So you have, you have lip gloss, but you also have other kits. You have deodorant and a clay mask. Had it always been that line, or did you start with just one thing?
We started with the lip balm kit was the original kit that we started. The very first kit that we did. The second kit that we did was the Groovy Lamp Lip Gloss, which is like, it ends up looking like a liquid lamp because of the densities of the liquids inside. And so that's part of the science project.
Oh, that's cool.
And so those two, the deodorant kit was a natural outflow of the fact that our pre-made deodorant is one of our best-selling products across the country.
Okay.
And so a lot of people, if they didn't want to buy it themselves, some people just like having their own hand in it or putting in their own essential oils, whatever they want, they can customize it that way. So the deodorant kit kind of flowed out of that. And the same with the clay mask. We really try to pair up the kits with the pre-made products that we offer because, you know, a lot of people also want to buy the pre-made. Some people don't have time for the kits. So.
Right. So that's interesting. So as sort of an emerging brand, I feel like you have a lot of momentum behind you. How did it come along that, you won those awards? Did you apply for them or did someone seek out the brand?
I applied for them. All of the awards that we've ever gotten have been a result of hard work. And I always tell everyone to apply for everything. There's no reason not to try for an award, for a competition. We got into Etsy Open Call because I pitched. We were second in the Martha Stewart American Made 2014 Awards because I gave it a try and I decided to do the best that I could at that. So I think that there are very few things that just come to you. I think most often you need to go after those things. And if you don't end up getting them, that's okay because it gives you a chance to refine your voice, to refine your brand, to refine your pitch. None of that is ever in vain.
Yeah. And I think the other good thing about that is, yes, you have the opportunity to refine, but then you also have quite a bit of your resources compiled. And there's always another opportunity down the line where whether you're refining or not, you're that much closer to it. And it's, you know, that much more in reach. So when you're looking, how are you finding those opportunities? Are you just kind of keeping your eyes and ears open, or do you have some sort of like list of awards and things you know you want to apply for?
So for the toy awards, I basically look at other brands within the industry that I respect.
Okay.
What they have gotten, and then
yes, a little detective work.
Absolutely, always looking at the people that you admire to see how they got where they are. For the ones like Etsy Open Call and American Made, a lot of those are things that I found out about through my social networks, not social media, but not personal social media, my business networks that I'm a part of. So maker networks and things like that people talk about that kind of thing.
Got it. So I know a lot of people, and you kind of touched on this, I know a lot of people, when they see these things come up, a lot of times they have, like, it's just kind of that ego check situation where it's like, oh, I'm too small to apply for that. Or there's like the Martha Stewart, there's so many people applying, I would never get in. Like, how do you, in your head, have you ever felt like that? And how do you kind of just push through it?
I think that I've always been of the mind that I'm absolutely not going to get it if I don't apply. So
true.
If I go for it, it's just a small chance. And you know, as far as things like the Etsy Open Call, I did get it, and it was a chance of a lifetime that many people would have said, "Oh my gosh, I would have loved to have that chance." And we still, you know, we got a lot of feedback that was very difficult to hear. So it wasn't necessarily the dream pie in the sky experience. It was a difficult experience that for a while made me really question where we were going and whether or not we should remain in business. So sometimes it's to be careful what you wish for, because you have to know, you have to, I think, go into those things with an open mind and an open heart of what the result could be if you end up being successful in them. Right.
And that's true. And I like that. I like that what you took from that is, hey, our brand got stronger, you know, and we were able to, you know, shift and put the product and brand in the position where it needs to be to grow. So you have 2 team members, right? What, I would say one challenge that I see a lot of entrepreneurs and startups face is so often they feel like they have to do it all. Like they're the vision behind it. And I'd love to know what type of role was the first person you hired?
Sure. So for a long time, it was my husband and myself.
Okay.
Then I worked with our initial hire. She's worked with our family for a long time, and for a while she was just interning under me to learn more about business. And I was teaching her about how I was doing the things that I was doing. But it became very clear early on that she was very good also at creating things and making them. And so I knew that I wanted to hire her. I knew that she was saving for college, so I knew that this wasn't her dream. I knew that it would be a part-time thing, that her schedule worked out with mine. But there are definite challenges in terms of training someone to do something and trust them as well as you would do it yourself. And I think that just comes with time from doing it over and over again. And also getting processes in place. I mean, for us, it's still a work in progress, but we write everything down. We have, I have videos and I have pictures of how we do things, so that when it eventually comes time that she does go to college later this summer, we're going to have somebody trained behind her that can follow those exact processes. But yeah, it's a matter of trust over time.
Yeah. And that is so smart to get some of those processes in place. I think I can speak for our own business. I had to go back and actually retrofit some processes as we grow. And even though we had to go back and do it, we didn't do it as the system was created. We have been able to grow so much more efficiently in this past year because we have a system for everything. And boy, it is in the moment of creating it, it feels like, to me at least, it felt like a lot of busy work. It was really time consuming. I'm like, who needs this? And I have absolutely seen it pay off this year.
Absolutely. And I think the key really is knowing what do you, as the maker, as the founder, what is essential for you to do. There's certain things done by you in your voice as the owner or the representative of your brand. And then there are some things, whether it's packaging or, for us, because we have a packaged goods, whether it's packaging things or manufacturing things, those aren't necessarily things that you have, as much as you might love to have your hands on them, you don't have to have your hands on them to have the business succeed. And I think that you have to know the difference between those two things before you put those processes in place.
Right. I think that's great. So as we kind of come to an end, what is one thing that's on your radar right now that you think will be like a hot topic or a trend that we're all talking about a year from now?
I think that, STEM and STEAM is definitely picking up. The movement is growing, and I think that it will only get stronger. You look at brands like Goldie Blocks and Ruminate that are really empowering girls to start doing things like engineering, and there are some brands out there that are helping with coding, and I think that is just going to continue to accelerate.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, we are seeing like simple little things that I normally wouldn't pay attention to, I'm seeing more often, like the flyers that come home in the Friday folder. There's so much more for coding and STEM and STEAM and that, or the after school activities instead of just the sports and athletic things. There's my son, what did he do? He did a Minecraft coding camp or something. There's all these different things that sometimes it seems subtle, sometimes it seems massive, but I think you're right. It's just getting so much momentum. It'll be on everyone's radar quite soon.
I think so too.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking some time today.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome.